Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa, and as well as viewers across the world. It is the conversation on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. It is a beautiful Monday here in Abuja. Quite a gloomy Monday, I must say. It's looking like it's going to rain. It is the start of a new week, and I hope your week is up to a very good start. As always, I am Sagir Ibrahim.
My name is Adesu Alsi. Good morning and thank you for joining us on the show today. Good morning, Sagir. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
You sure?
Yes. Good to see you today.
So, how's your weekend?
Quite restful. Yeah, I had a good rest. Yeah.
You rested?
Yes.
At least you rested. Well, I wish I could say the same anyways.
Okay. I was waiting for you.
Okay, coming up next is the quote of the day, after which the stories of across the development scenes in Africa follows.
Always remember,
This man I has been creative design. We really like it, but
you deserve a break. You can indulge in a cup of 3-in-1 Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Indulge. Now available in the 450 grams pouch.
This morning we begin with the Horn of Africa, where at least 8 people have been killed in a suicide bomb targeting a government convoy that exploded at a busy junction in Somalia's capital on Saturday. Spokesperson of military operations from the Al-Qaeda-linked militant group Al-Shabaab, Abdiasis Abu Musab, said it was responsible for the Saturday's attack. Well, insecurity everywhere. I just hope, they say 8 people have been killed. I hope their souls, rest in peace, as well as pray that the government is doing something to ensure that these killings reduce or stop.
Yes, exactly. Moving away from Somalia to South Africa, where protests has erupted in South Africa following the imprisonment of former president of the country, Jacob Zuma. His supporters launched a massive protest over his imprisonment, burning trucks, commercial properties, and blocking major roads in KwaZulu-Natal province to demand his immediate release. What do you make of this development?
Well, Jacob Zuma, who went and turned himself in, is not oblivious of the fact that he might be guilty or not. So for people to come out protesting when it was he who turned himself in, I mean, it's quite something. If he wasn't guilty, or if he didn't feel like he was guilty, he wouldn't have turned himself in.
I mean, he was guilty because I think he was in prison for being stopped on contempt of court, like being invited and not showing up and not saying.
What's the protest
maybe
about?
they just felt it was unjust, that he shouldn't have to be in prison because of that, or maybe the prison sentence was too long.
Well, there are processes to appeal that.
Exactly.
You don't have to go to the streets to protest to ensure that your voices are heard. I mean, he could have approached the court, for example, but he didn't. He chose to turn himself in. So why would others who feel like he is their leader want to protest the fact that he decided to turn himself in? So you begin to ask questions like, are they really protesting the fact that he is in jail, or the fact that he turned himself in?
I'm just trying to show loyalty.
Okay. Coming back to Nigeria here, the Emir of Kajuru, 12 others kidnapped by bandits in Kaduna State. Kaduna State experienced yet more attack from bandits as they abducted the Emir of Kajuru, Alhaji Al-Hassan Adamu Kajuru, alongside 12 of his family members. A former senator from Kaduna Central, Shehu Sani, disclosed this via Twitter on Sunday.
The number of unrest and news of abduction and the likes that we're seeing in Kaduna, it's beginning to baffle me a lot.
Yeah, Kaduna has always been the culprit, and all of
yes,
this
but it seems like
the
cases are spiking daily.
The cases are spiking daily, as a matter of fact. This is coming on the heels of 2 nurses who have been held in captivity for 80 days. Regaining their freedom, only to hear that the Emir and 12 members of his family, it's quite daring.
Yes.
It is, as a matter of fact. And this goes to show how spontaneous the acts are and boisterous, as a matter of fact. Because, they start from little kids to persons on the street, They entered higher institutions, and now they are kidnapping emirs.
Emir, I think. Do you know what it takes?
This might sound off, but perhaps one day we might see. I don't pray this happen, but if they can kidnap an emir, they can kidnap the councillor of a ward, they can kidnap a local government chairman, and I hope it doesn't get to a point where a governor is kidnapped.
I hope we don't get to that point. I'm sure that I think this is going to be some sort of eye opener to just show those in authority that look, these people are getting bolder, and then you need to to take a stand or maybe re-strategize and do something about it.
Interestingly, this isn't the first time a monarch is being kidnapped in the north. I think this should be the second time. I think the first was a monarch either in Zamfara or Katsina state. I can't really remember anymore, but this isn't the first. So the earlier we begin to tackle these issues regarding insecurity and the continuous abduction of students in schools, the better for all of us as a nation, because this is something that is affecting all of us. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, you're a parent. If you're not a parent, you're a brother. If you're not a brother, you're a sister.
You're a family member.
A family member. So one way or the other, this affects you directly as a matter of fact. Okay, we bring you COVID-19 updates from across Africa, after which we'll be bringing you the newspaper segments. Don't go anywhere.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sport and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget and the budget they lose, some of them sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igbenegya, and I am the People's Journalist.
We move straight into, looking at the front pages of the Nigerian dailies this morning, starting with the Daily Trust newspaper. The very first headline there says, COVID-19, Nigeria faces third wave as Lagos issues red alert. That's on page 5 of the Daily Trust. And then the very gaping, the banner, I don't know if it's called a headline, but just stamped across the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper is information blackout. This is what the National Assembly wants to achieve with the NPC and NBC Media Act amendment bills. And it's not just against the media, it's about society's right to know, your right to be heard. That's it for the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
For the second newspaper of this morning, we go to the Daily Independent newspaper. We'll start from the very top, where we see Buhari wants to provoke Nigerians to go to war. And that's according to Afenifere. Underneath, we have a rider there which says Femi Adesina is a sellout, and that could be found on page 5 of the Daily Independent newspaper. Besides that, we see host countries' weak growth shrinks diaspora remittances, and that could be found on page 5 of the newspaper as well. MBF blames El Rufai over Kaduna bandits attacks, abductions. That could be found on page 29 as well. Sanwo-Olu urges compliance with COVID-19 protocols, warns of third wave. That could be found on page 30 of the Daily Independent newspaper. For the very gaping headline for the Daily Independent newspaper, we see airlines grown fare may rise as Jet A1 climbs to 315 naira per litre. That could also be found on page 29 of the Daily Independent newspaper. And underneath there, we see a picture of the day, or probably a poster, stating the same thing: information blackout. This is what the National Assembly wants to achieve with the NPC and the NBC Media Act amendment bills. I feel it's the issue around the NPC and NBC bill, and Nigerian national dailies have begun to react, to show solidarity for the Nigerian media, as well as reject the call for the amendment of the bill. So that's it for the Daily Independent newspaper this morning.
And the Punch newspaper this morning, the front page of the Punch newspaper, also carry, that stamp on the information blackout. And then looking at the very first headline there, says marketers plan 7,000 auto gas stations with 250 billion loan. You can find that on page 27. Underneath that, NIA gets 4.87 billion budgets to track intercept calls messages. That's on page 11. Southwest governors propose 6 regions demand local government autonomy, resource control. And the banner headline on the Punch newspaper: COVID-19 third waves, states ran out of vaccines, 9,057 travelers disappear. Right under that, the first one, Kano exhausts 209,502 vaccine doses, increases surveillance at Aminu Kano Airport. Bed occupied in Lagos isolation centers increased by 5. Bed occupancy, I beg your pardon, in Lagos isolation centers increased by 5% in 1 week. And that's coming from the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
We move over to the Business Day newspaper, and for the Business Day newspaper this morning, there's just one headline, one major headline there, and that's the information blackout. Like we read earlier, this is what the National Assembly wants to achieve with the NPC and NBC Media Act amendment bills. It is not just against the media, it's about society's right to know, your right to be heard, and it's sponsored by the Nigerian Union of Journalists, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, as well as the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria. That's it for the Business Day newspaper of this morning.
And that is equally replicated on the Blueprint newspaper. That's the information blackout headline. And then just going over, other headlines on the Blueprint newspaper. Afenifere to Buhari, NAS, others. Return Nigeria to true federalism now. Back Southern governors ban on open grazing. You can get that on page 6. As Kaduna government negotiations subsist, bandits abduct 85-year-old emir, grandchildren AIDS. You can read up on that story on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper this morning. And that is all of the dailies we're going to be looking at the front page this morning. You know that you should get yourself a copy of any or all of those papers to be fully abreast with what's happening in the country. Or, you could just log on to our website, www.TOS TVNetwork.com, to read up on any of these headlines. Okay, that's it for the newspaper headline segment of the conversation. We'll, go on a commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll be bringing you the big story.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. Eat a farm, say you sabi. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you not to pass your power. You want to show yourself,
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone network.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Caplets for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Caplets. This has been Medifact for Panadol.
You're still watching The Conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. And like I always say, you can be part of the conversation by connecting with us on our various social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using the information currently displayed on your screen. Yes, it is the big story of the conversation, and this morning's focus is going to be on banditry and negotiation, exploring other options. With us to discuss this via telephone conversation is Mr. Jonathan Isaac Onoja, and he is a security expert. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mr. Jonathan.
Thank you, Mr. Sage.
Thank you so much. Good morning. So, I was going to ask, just yesterday, bandits abducted the Emir of Kajuru in Kaduna State, as well as some members of his family, as well as his palace aides. So, first of all, what do you make of this incident?
Well, let me use this opportunity to first congratulate Ambassador Dr. Dixon Eirako on his birthday, which happened last week Saturday. Now, on the issue of the Kajuri abductions and the entire family of His Royal Highness, at the Kaduna as it's there, we have all it takes to mitigate all of these crimes. We have the military base that you can never think of. And before now, even in the military era, once Kaduna give a backup to most of the coups that happen there, it's something that, is going to definitely come to pass. Going forward, I want to look at it from this perspective. What we see today as kidnapping or terrorism, all of that, it's our collective actions and inactions that have led to this on ugly situations on ground. But I wish to also say that we have negated intelligence to a level where we look at it that it is not existing anymore. Mm-hmm. These people operate in a particular region for numbers of months, and they just come with motorcycles. 10, 15 people come with motorcycles, and they're able to operate in a particular place for about an hour, 40 minutes, 2 hours, and parade a huge number of people from a particular location to another without any interception. There is no interception from the military angle. There is no interception from the police, and also the DSS and the NIA. That shows that somebody somewhere is complicit, and it shows that there is a sabotage in the system. And also, we can also trace it that there is the need for government to also equip the military with more intelligent technology, because these guys equip themselves very well that they can operate down to the remote areas. They communicate because of what the use of intelligence gadgets and also communication gadgets, referring to technology. But we as a people, even the government, have not looked at that angle. Like one of the commissioner of police confessed recently that in January 2021, the tracking system of the Nigerian police cyber has been down. Why? Because people who are supposed to service it and all of that have not done the needful. For what we are into today, how can the Nigerian police tell us that for January 2021, they have not been able to service their server? So that shows that there is no appropriate monitoring of all of these gadgets Maintenance are not also there. But these guys ensure that their intelligence is well equipped to ensure that they have a smooth operation.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this. Mr. Onocha, there seem to be a couple of initiatives that have been, flaunted to try to tackle the issues, surrounding insecurity. One of such is the regional security networks, which Amotekun falls under. So the question here is, has this been enough since, the inception of this regional security outfit? Has it been able to tackle the issues surrounding insecurity, in your own opinion?
I would want you to please come again with this question, please.
Okay, so the question is, with the advent of regional security networks like Operation Amotekun and the likes of them, to help tackle the issue of insecurity, would you say that they have been effective, in reducing the menace of insecurity issues, regarding kidnapping, armed robbery in their various regions?
Okay, to start with that, you cannot solve a conventional insecurity problem with a conventional solutions. Are you with me? Sorry, to come up with this again is, I mean that you cannot solve a conventional insecurity problems with a regional solutions.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes. Regional security will not be able to mitigate the situations on ground.
Okay.
And to throw more light on it, by the time all the states have their regional apparatus in place to fight or to surmount insecurity, then it becomes a threat to the center. And if you remember, there was a time that even the Inspector General of Police said there are certain regions that cannot operate a regional security outfit without a supervision and permission. That shows that the essence of these creations is to divide the center. If there's an existing security architecture in the country, what we should be doing now is what we call rejigging. We should be rejigging the security architecture to mitigate the current menace. And by doing that, it's all about establishing regional security. We must identify the root cause of all that have brought us to where we are today. For instance, what we see as Boko Haram today and Banditry, we're just a set of people who are following one Yusuf and all of that. I think something 2002, something like that, and thereabout, when one Abubakar took over, and from there, so many persons, Shekau took over, and they started coming on with ideologies. So it is ideological driven. What we should be looking at now is sensitizing the youth and not engaging them to confrontations and combat, or to be combatant in all of these things.
Okay.
That's what we call preventive diplomacy. We should engage more in preventive diplomacy to ensure that in as much that we know that not all Nigerians, not all the youth, we want to do what is right.
Yes.
We should engage in preventive diplomacy, sensitize the youth, engage the youth, and make sure that they are well equipped with ideas, the right ideas. It is all about ideology. If government comes up with some programs to sensitize the youth, meet with the youth, and at least let there be a minimal approach to issues. And not all the time it is we are combating and all of that. We have used force for a long time, and we cannot use fire to quench fire. Are you with me? Using regional security to combat conventional insecurity is as good as when, say for instance, when CBN notices that there's a cyber crime or cyber insecurity in a particular state, they will just go to that state to work on the cyber. What happened to the other states? What will now be the approach of the other states? You know, over time, the other state will start suffering. So you must tackle it conventionally and not regionally when the problem is spread across all the states.
Okay, you
so I believe. Go ahead.
Okay, you did mention that you cannot use, fire to quench fire. And that brings me to my question. We're going back to Kaduna State and the abduction of the emir in Kaduna State. Now, these insurgents or bandits went from kidnapping regular, ordinary citizens to kidnapping an emir and his family, someone in a position of authority. And then people are of the opinion that it's probably to send a message to the governor because he said he's not going to negotiate with, bandits and all of that. Do you think that that is the reason why the emir was kidnapped? Because, he did say he's not going to negotiate with bandits. And do you think we should look at negotiation as a means to, an end in this situation?
Well, negotiations is never an answer to what we are facing today. Are you with me?
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, there is no sane society that involves in negotiations for ransom.
Mm.
We have other mediations approach to the issues on ground. And we have people who are well trained on peaceful negotiations that does not involve ransom payment. Are you with me?
Yes.
Because when the concept of negotiations here in Nigeria now has been it now attracts a ransom. Not until ransom is attached, then there's no negotiation.
Mm.
There can be other forms of negotiation that don't need to involve ransom. And that's why I applaud the National Commandant, always the Peace Corps of Nigeria, who is a well-trained conflict resolution expert. These choices are given opportunity like the Peace Corps of Nigeria, which I've always advocated for. It's not all about combating with artillery at all times. The type of group negotiations I found at it because ransoms are always involved.
Mm.
But in this very one, if they can see a means to engage the people and with the use of technology, because it's unfortunate, you speak with people and you cannot track their whereabouts. You still speak with people on daily basis, demanding for bags of rice and for oil so that they can use to feed those that they have kidnapped, and you still don't know their whereabouts.
Mm.
But if the appropriate authorities go into peaceful negotiations, ensuring that the way forward is not about fighting and all of that, there are other means to register their grievances and we could come out of it.
Okay.
So to me, negotiation in this instance is not the way forward anymore.
Okay.
Not negotiation for ransom, but peaceful negotiation and mediation can yield us a better result. Because when you talk about preventive diplomacy, conflict resolution is part of it as well.
Okay.
And when peace and conflict resolution without ransom being paid, then we now understand that our negotiation is fruitful, not all the time for ransom.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac, for joining us on the conversation this morning.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Thank you. And thank you to our viewers for sticking with us through the show this morning. Do not forget that we'll be back here tomorrow. But before that, you have to be a part of the TOS TV community. That's following us across all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, subscribe to TOS TV Network on YouTube so you do not miss out on amazing content. You can also stream our content on www.tostvnetwork.com. My name is Adesu Alsui.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for watching and see you tomorrow.